We're live, and you are live with us on Coffee with Kim. So we are just going to be touching tonight on a couple of quick subjects. One is the big earthquake that just struck in the Caribbean. I think you'll be interested to know where it came from and where it's going. The next thing we're going to be touching on tonight is some night attacks. And I'm not talking about the ones that you need to take Pepto-Bismol or what's that other stuff that I have friends take all the time, you know, that stuff that fizzes in the water. Anyways, we're not talking about those kind of night attacks, folks. We got something bigger than that. And we're also going to be touching base on the two Koreas and what is happening. A very interesting development with these two Koreas. So let's get started, and let's start by just talking about this very large. It has been, it's a large earthquake that has struck really in the Caribbean. It's just off of the Honduras coast. Actually, I was looking at a very nice map, and now I'm looking at a crazy map here. So let's see if I can find a better map. But anyways, it's right out there around all of the Caribbean islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, not too far from it. Puerto Rico it could affect, Haiti it could affect, some waves. They have a tsunami advisory going on right now. Although nothing has been cited. However, what is interesting about this earthquake is where it's come from. Now, for those of you that may not have a knowledge regarding the plates that sit under the ocean, there's a platonic system underneath the water that is driven by plates. And did I say platonic? It's supposed to be Teutonic. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, and these plates work together, and they actually work on particular perimeters throughout and all around the earth underneath the oceans. So if indeed there's an earthquake in one area and it happens to be on a particular line or perimeter, all right, and the pressure is not released, that pressure will push itself along that perimeter line in a particular direction. Well, back in, I think it was about 3 months ago, there was a huge earthquake right off the coast of Mexico. It was an 8.1 earthquake back then. And then you might remember a few weeks, I think it was 10 days later, there was, I think it was about a 7.68. I have not checked how high it is, but that hit in Mexico City. So the first one that was quite huge was just off the coast there in Mexico. Didn't kill anybody, but if you recall, the one that was in Mexico City, which was quite high, maybe close to an 8 itself, killed about 200 people. That was 10 days after that earthquake off the coast of Mexico. Well, that earthquake, then, those that follow earthquakes, they did expect that pressure to move down that perimeter line of these plates and move downward and go east and come out somewhere to the east. Well, here we are 3 months later, and that pressure has been released, and we have an earthquake now in the Caribbean. And it is the largest earthquake cited in the Caribbean in decades. So that now we are going to be watching for the next 10 days, especially for waves around the area. They do have an advisory out, but again, nothing has been cited. In addition to that, you will be watching to see if there are any other kind of tremors and little earthquakes that appear, and you want to watch for that along the East Coast, which could very well include the United States as well, to see what happens in the shifting of these plates. What earthquakes is it going to trigger in the Atlantic? And so this is something earthquake seismologists will be watching to see now how this affects other areas that may be along that perimeter line here off the coast of the United States and in the Caribbean. They do expect now that pressure to continue to move to the east and downward. So there could be even greater earthquakes that would affect Haiti, Honduras, and the like in the near future. So this has been an interesting development according to, if you ever watch Dutch Sins, I think I have a friend that watches this all the time. Anyways, they were not expecting this earthquake. So those that even follow earthquakes were not expecting what has just happened. And the cool thing is, though, that is actually connected to an earthquake that happened 3 months ago. So that pressure has been moving down, it's been moving to the east, and it has just manifested itself with the shifting of a tectonic plate underneath the Caribbean, and of course we had an earthquake. So for those of you following that, and those of you very interested in earthquakes, I think I will put this site for you up on Coffee with Kim. It's pretty cool. So we will be looking and following, kind of keeping track on that to see how that goes. Big breaking news that I think just came out like an hour ago. All right. Okay, now let's shift over to Israel real quick. And let's talk NATO. I had the opportunity a couple years ago to go to NATO, and I have to tell you, for 3 days and to sit, and we had the opportunity to get briefings and to discuss some of the future issues that we're going to be facing NATO. And I have to tell you, it was a real highlight thus far in my life. And just today, the Prime Minister was with NATO ambassadors at the King David Hotel. So you may have been with me when we were at the King David. It's actually on my website. If you go to networkingthewhy.com, you will see the video playing on the top of the website, and that is all the King David Hotel that you're looking at, the lobby and that which you're seeing. So if you want to get a glimpse of what we're talking about, go to my website, networkingthewhy.co, not .com, but .co. Well, anyways, the Prime Minister met with NATO ambassadors at the King David today, and they were discussing a lot of different issues, of course, a lot of it surrounding that which is taking place concerning Iran. So let me just kind of sketchily go through this article with you. And the Prime Minister reported that he warned, the ambassadors from NATO countries that there is a real possibility that U.S. President Donald Trump will cancel the Iran nuclear deal this week. So, Netanyahu went on to say, President Trump has to make a decision this week. You have to understand that there's a real possibility he will work to cancel the nuclear agreement. If you do not act to amend that agreement, then Trump may cancel it. So that is supposed to happen on Friday. We are going to know where the president is going to sit on this issue in just a few days. So that is something to definitely pray about. Channel 10 also quoted a source as saying that Netanyahu sent a similar warning to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, the French President Emmanuel Macron, and the British PM Theresa May last week. Netanyahu also told the envoys that Israel would not allow Iran to take control of Syria. And we are going to talk about that in just a few minutes because there's some interesting developments in this area. All right. He went on to say, we are absolutely committed to preventing Iran from forming such a base, a military base in Syria. And we back our words with action. And that was the PM, Netanyahu. And we have to understand that there's a little bit more to this than just an Iranian military base. The little bit more has to do with the 2 Russian military bases that are now present in Syria. So when you're looking at a situation where Iran is wanting to also have hegemony in Syria, they want to expand their territory, expand their military influence by utilizing Syria, and the fact that they are now working out these deals with Bashar Assad and bringing this whole 7-year civil war to an end, we could again see some very direct action on the part of Israel to ensure that Iran does not get a base in Syria. Now, with that, okay, when we're looking at what could happen on Friday, we understand that Trump is going to be deciding whether to sign a number of waivers that would block the renewal of sanctions removed under the Joint Comprehension Plan of Action, or the Iranian nuclear deal, okay? If he does not sign those waivers, the sanctions will automatically be reinstated, putting the U.S. in contravention of the deal's terms and likely spelling the end of the 2015 pact. Under the accord, the U.S. president has to sign the waivers every 120 days. While our intelligence services monitor the Islamic Republic's compliance with the deal, which rolled back, those crippling sanctions against Iran in exchange for curbs on its nuclear program. Now, let me just pause right here. This was one of the big issues over the protests that just took place. All of these sanctions that were rolled back, all of the money that was infused into the economy, and the people are starving. So, let's go on. As a candidate, Trump expressed intense disapproval of the deal, repeatedly promising to tear it up, if he was elected, and often calling it the worst deal ever negotiated. Of course, we know this. We've talked about it numerous times, and you remember he did not certify this deal the last go-around. So now we're back at the same table, and he's facing that deadline once again, and he will be required to, again, certify the Iranian compliance with the deal like he has to do every 90 days. Now, he didn't do it before. The question is, will he do it now? And with what just took place in Iran and what happened and the way the protesters were treated, and the fact that it has now come to light that the protesters, really it's the civilians, that the Iranian civilians are not seeing the benefits of the lifted sanctions and the infused money, it is highly unlikely the president is going to recertify. I don't know the president personally. I don't know what he's thinking personally, but I can tell you this, that those protests were very, very telling of what is taking place in the regime. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson told the Associated Press last week that Trump had yet to make a decision on what he will do this week. He said that the administration was talking with lawmakers on a very active basis about coming to a resolution. The president said he is either going to fix it or cancel it. We are in the process of trying to deliver on the promise he made to fix it. So that's something we're going to be watching over the next few days, the little bits of pieces of information that we are going to get on that, but definitely something to pray about. The fact that Netanyahu has now warned Europe, and when we talk about NATO leaders here, we're talking about all those, all right, that were compliant with the Iranian nuclear deal. So this is up for the running, and we will see what happens. Now, on the warning also, and I don't want to use the word threat, but I would say this was a position statement that Netanyahu made, and that has to do with Iran putting a military base in Syria near the Damascus area. With that, we had some interesting developments over the last less than 24 hours, folks. And that is, there were some Israeli airstrikes. So here we have some night attacks going on. We've got NATO, we've got night attacks, and there were 3 attacks. Accordingly, Israeli airstrike reported on military targets east of Damascus. So this was kind of just breaking news. You would be able to find this in the DEPCA file. But the Israeli airstrike reported on military targets east of Damascus. There's a very, very interesting passage in the book of Isaiah, I believe it's chapter 17, that talks about Damascus in the end of days. In fact, it says Damascus will be destroyed. It says that it will be so destroyed that even the animals won't want to go near it. And what's interesting is, people that I've talked to for, I would say, about the last 10 years, believe that that is the next major biblical prophecy that has to be fulfilled. Now, whether you believe in biblical prophecy or not, for those in our audience that do, they might find that to be very interesting. So, with that said, all right, several Syrian opposition sources report that the Israeli Air Force Monday night struck government military targets, including an arms depot at Qutaiba, I think it's Qutaba east of Damascus. There was no comment from Israel on this. According to the reports, Israeli jets fired at least 4 missiles from Lebanese airspace. Now, the DEPCA file added, this base is near the Qalaman Mountains, an area where Hezbollah also maintains military outposts and arms depots. So, more than likely, this is what they were going after. And that means that Syria was obviously, and especially Hezbollah, was trying to make some type of military move here. So with that also, the Mossad chief in Israel came out today and made a very unusual statement, especially because we are still in that place where we are on, Iran's naughty list. They, with the protesters going on, they're blaming Israel, they're blaming the United States. Of course, they're just totally shifting the blame. They don't want to take the blame for the fact that they're not utilizing their own resources, right? But with that said, usually, you let things calm down before you say anything about what's going on over there. And Yossi Cohen, the director of the Israeli Mossad, said today, we have eyes and ears, and more than that, if you will, in Iran too. Whoa. That's a bold statement, okay? And I do believe we've seen over the last few weeks Prime Minister Netanyahu come out very, very strong on the issues concerning Iran, as he has all along, all right? Yossi Cohen made this comment during a speech in Jerusalem. Today, the Debka file noted that it's hard to account for this rare disclosure being made so soon after Iranian leaders accused U.S., Israel, and Saudi clandestine agencies of orchestrating the recent wave of anti-regime protests. Also today, I read a very interesting article that was in, I believe it was the Times of Israel, and that has to do with Herzog. Now, Herzog is really leads the left party. And let's see if I pull that article up real quick here. See what I have here. Let's see what I can do with Herzog. Let's see. Herzog is suggesting that Saudi Arabia actually have a say in the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Very interesting comment. He believes because they are so influential. Here he is. Rich Sheva came out in Net News. It also came out in, and the Jewish press. So this is really across all of the news medias, and that is that Herzog offers the Saudis, or it's not that he really can make that offer, but he, makes a comment that he wants to offer the Saudis a special role on the Temple Mount. Zionist Union MK Herzog says Israelis ready for peace, suggesting offering Saudi Arabia a central role in deciding the Temple Mount future. Folks, open your ears to this. Opposition leader Yitzhak Herzog, Zionist Union. Oops, wrong direction. Over that way. All right. He spoke to the Saudi Ilaf news outlet, claiming his party will bring down Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and work to create a Palestinian state. The Israeli people are ready for peace, and there is a basis for reaching a historic agreement, Herzog said. Herzog also suggested giving Saudi Arabia special status with regards to the holy places in Jerusalem. We need to implement an interim solution for the next 10 years and then talk about Jerusalem, he said. Here, Saudi Arabia has a big job. When we start talking about Jerusalem and the holy places such as the Al-Aqsa Mosque, I think Saudi Arabia has an important job and responsibility. We need to give them a central role in the issue. According to Ma'ariv, it's that direction too. Woo, real far. All right, Herzog called on the Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas to address the Knesset. I am sure that labor leader Avi Gabe, whoop, that direction too, all right, will be able to lead Israel to peace. We will bring down the right-wing government and work towards a two-state solution with the Palestinians, Herzog concluded. Yeah, this is all over the news, folks. And this is a very, very interesting development in the strategy of the left in Israel. And the reason it is interesting, I read a very interesting commentary. We didn't talk about it, but I did read it, I would say about a month ago. Very interesting commentary about the role of Saudi Arabia and its involvement in Israeli affairs, that it could be almost like a Trojan horse. Now, I have some very strong views on Saudi Arabia, which we have talked about, and I will be talking again, I'm sure, a lot this year. Because if you look at Saudi Arabia from a biblical perspective, she is going to be and have a central role in the events that unfold in the Arab world, just really before the coming of the Mashiach, and also before certain developments that take place in Israel. So for those of you that aren't aware, Saudi Arabia is right in the book of Ezekiel, and Saudi Arabia is ancient Sheba and Dedan in the scriptures. So very, very interesting that the Saudi situation is developing as quickly and as poignantly as it is when it comes to the Axis and Israel. However, with that said, you can see how fine the line is here when you're dealing with right and left. And you can see how the left already wants to take advantage of that in their vision for peace. Now, God forbid if that would ever happen. You would have a very, very interesting scenario developing, especially if we're looking at some prophecies according to Daniel. I don't want to go into that tonight, but I am saying this is a pretty interesting offshoot that we're seeing developing on the side of the left concerning Saudi's role in all of the peace negotiations that are really not going on right now. Thank God. Anyways, but they're working towards them, folks. With that said, that's something to pray about. You know, I would say how to pray about that. Just pray that God shuts Herzog down. But that's how I would say it. But you pray accordingly. All right. Syria also complains to the UN today concerning Israel. So here again, these are the issues that are on the table. How's everybody doing tonight? I had so much stuff in the States, and I'm going to say hi to you all in just 1 second. But let me just make a quick comment regarding the States. We had the earthquake, we had NATO, and we have the night attacks. And we also have Bannon leaving Breitbart. That's sad, folks. That just so sad, the fallout over that book, Fire and Fury. We also have Oprah coming out as a potential candidate for president in 2020. So interesting developments this week. So let me see who's with us. All right. Adam, hey Adam, how close are we really out for the temple being built? Everything points we're getting closer and closer. Yeah, we are getting closer and closer. I am sure that is part of what's in the proposed peace agreements that Trump is working on. You're going to see things truly move quickly once the embassy shifts to Jerusalem. Until that time, we're just going to keep our eyes on it. Statements like this, I am sure, even though Herzog is really positioning his platform from, and all of this is being positioned from the left and the way they're going to take down the right, as I just read. However, with that said, I would not doubt that this already has been a topic of discussion with the Trump team in Saudi Arabia. So I don't think here we're dealing with new information. We're just dealing with how this information is being utilized. All right? So if something like that happened, once again, we really could see an escalation of the Temple Mount, all right, having the Alaska Mosque and the Third Temple built side by side. So that is potentialized. Again, though, we won't see that move. It's in the planning stages, but when we're really going to see these things just move into, hyperspace quickly, all right, really once we shift that embassy to Jerusalem. All right. Yes, we're in every kind of time there, Adam. It's perilous. It's promising. We are in the best of times and the worst of times. So we are going to make the best of times, and we're going to make the best of the worst of times. All right. Patty Zimmerman, it is good to see you. So let me see who is with us. All right. Jack. Hey, Jack. It's good to see you. Linda Milanowski's with us. My brother Joseph's here. Aaron, it's great to see you. I hope all is well in Texas. And we have Terry Condren. Terry, it is so good to have you on. Terry just lost his mother, so we want you to know we're praying for you, and we pray that you are comforted with that loss. And we also have Renee with us, and of course Adam. And we have, hold on folks, I got to move you all over. Let's see how, here we go. Crystal is with us. She says, can't wait to get you on replay tomorrow. She's going to class. Yay, Crystal. Back in school. I'm so proud of that girl. All right. Gary Seawright. Hey, thanks, Gary. Thanks for that lovely comment. Glad you're with us tonight. Thank you, Gary. Andrew Hudspeth, it's so good to see you. Deidre Henderson, and Terry and Andrew and Aaron. Aaron Bissett, it is so good to have you. Janice, hey girl, it's good to see you. Now, Aaron, he says that Bannon said that this was going to be a busy week. Yes, it's going to be a busy week, and it is true. I think, we've already had a lot going on, and it seems to be really intensifying. It's a very interesting week. Gloria Milhan, it's so good to see you, and Crystal, and Teresa Jaharvian, it's great to have you. Brian Lane, and Sue Lesko, and Julie Collada, great to have you, Julie. And Renee Reeves, it's always great to have you. Barbara, my friend, great to see you. Rachel Salba. All right. Joe Glenn says, isn't that where the dinosaur killing asteroid hit too? I am sure that's talking about the earthquake that's taken in the Caribbean. So sorry I didn't see that earlier, Joe. All right. Karen Franklin, great to see you. Paula, hey girl from Denver. It is so good to see you. Nita Hill, great to see you, Anita. All right. Donna Berry, yeah. Aaron, about 135 miles from the Honduras coast. And that is our earthquake. Lori Chen, hey girl, good to see you. Troy Carter, Danny McCauley, Linda Milanowski, I think I mentioned. Ronnie Pittman, it's so good to see you. Hey, Lionel Ramos, so good to see you. Everybody, it has just been such a blessing to have all of you here with us tonight. And with that said, we are going to hop off early tonight. I'll put some of these posts on. Make sure if you're not a member of Coffee with Kim, we'll have that up. And I was going to talk very quickly, and I think we'll close out with this, the two Koreas. Another very interesting development. And I would take this particular development with, both eyes open and also a grain of salt. Christine, good to see you. All right, so let me just touch base on what's happening with North and South Korea. This, again, I've just, really kind of sketchily read over several things on this today. So there's some cool things happening here. Officials, both North and South Korean officials did meet earlier today in the demilitarized zone for their first high-level talks in more than 2 years. Now, I have to, I don't know if you were able to see, I did post it on Coffee with Kim, a video showing where that demilitarized zone, and I believe it was it Sean Hannity? I think Sean went out to the demilitarized zone and talked with everyone on the borders there. And if it wasn't Sean, it would have been Brett who? You know who he is. All right. Anyways. Yeah, I wish. All right. So anyways, the talks today resulted in agreement for North Korea to send a delegation to the 2018 Winter Olympics, which is coming up in just a couple weeks. I don't know about you guys, but I am like binge Olympic. I don't know a year, even when I'm overseas, I am like staying up all night long to watch the Olympics. I love the Olympics. So those games will be taking place in South Korea. So remember, Russia got nixed from that deal. So that's starting, again, a couple weeks in February. It would include athletes, a cheering squad, an art troupe, a visitors group, a taekwondo demonstration team, and a press corps. And a closing joint statement said, the two countries also announced military talks to ease the current military tensions between the two Koreas. South Korea also proposed holding family reunions during the games for people separated by the Korean War. Now, folks, that's something to really pray into. Wouldn't that be special? Even if it was just the 2 weeks that these family members could just take a couple months. We talked about, in fact, I think we talked about the fact that Pyongyang very possibly can be planning some strategic attacks during these Olympics. So at this point, it wouldn't look like that, but once again, you've got to keep your eyes open here. Secretary Tillerson believes that it's premature to judge if it's a beginning of something, and U.S. pressure on the North will continue until achieving its policy goal. And that was Brian Hook, Senior Policy Advisor to Tillerson. So that's about all we have on that right now, but that is breaking news. And that is, a cause for possible joy and rejoicing, and also a cause to keep our eyes open and watch what will develop through this and before the Olympics. So Jack said, we are the odds. What did Jack say? That there could be what are the odds that there could be a political incident between the two countries? Hi. All right, what do you think about the flu outbreak going around now? You know what? You know, Adam, I have a big, I'll tell you what, I have so much to say about flu. And what's funny about that, okay, is all these people get flu shots, right? And then you get this flu outbreak. Well, you know, personally, anytime there is some type of epidemic, that is always a sign for people to pray and to repent, to do tshuva. It can be, yeah, exactly, Aaron, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right, so let's talk about the flu for a minute. First of all, as I just said, all these flu shots going around and people, the flu just gets worse and worse and worse. All right, Aaron just said, don't take the flu shot. And I say, true. I'm very, very thankful that I have not had the flu. I don't think I have had the flu for over 30 years. I'm very thankful for that. I don't take that shot. But I will tell you that you need to really make sure that you drink your green juices, you build up your immune system, and you pray Psalm 91. Psalm 91 promises that no epidemic, no plague will come nigh your dwelling. And I'm just stupid enough, you know, people might say that. But the truth is, I believe it. I just believe if God said it, that's the way it is. And we don't have to be subject to the flu. Now, with that said, let me say some other things, though. One of the reasons people get the flu, and you're right, I mean, can the flu actually even be conspiracy related and all of these things? I don't know, and I really don't want to go there. I know what we can do to not get the flu, but I will tell you this. The food we eat contributes to the flu. The meats we eat that are tainted with glyphosate, all this conventional food. Do you know, as I mentioned the other night, around 85% to 90% of all American food is tainted with glyphosate. That is Agent Orange, folks. That's serious stuff. And what it does is it destroys the bacteria that keeps you healthy in your gut. And so your dairy and your meats. And if you're eating dairy and meats that are not grass-fed and grass-finished, and if you're eating junk food and fast food and drinking sodas and doing all of this damage to your gut, you will not have the tolerance and the immune capabilities built up in your body to defend yourself from the flu. If you are going to truly escape the flu, you need to eat right. Period. You need to know it, and you need to get my course, regeneratenow.com, period, because I go into gut health at length in that course, so you know what to do. And by the way, my friend Gil Hoffman just got online. And so, hey, Gil, I want to give you a shout out. I don't know, Gil, if you're live, I don't know if I can actually, I know you like junk food. Who doesn't like junk food? I don't know if you have a flu epidemic. Is there a flu epidemic in Jerusalem right now? I don't know. If there's not, don't worry about it. By the way, junk food in Jerusalem is not like junk food here in the States. Yeah, well, as long as you eat an orange for dessert, I think we're going to be good. You know, folks, we have to say that, you know, going down to the local Burger King, the kosher Burger King in Jerusalem versus the death by burger in America, there's quite a vast chasm of difference between the two. That is so true. But it's all in the orange. You know, get that vitamin C in there. I can't pull you on there, Gil, but I hope one day you would agree to coming on live and we could do a little talk on what's going on over in Israel or whatever we want to talk about. I would love to do that. So, anyways, it's been really nice tonight. We'll put these things up on Coffee with Kim, and we will see all of you tomorrow night. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and make sure, when we're talking about the flu, make sure that you start eating the healthiest you can, because truly the flu shot's not going to help you. And fantastic, Gil, thanks. I'm going to take you up on that. The flu shot's not going to help you. But I will tell you, getting off conventional foods, starting grass-fed, grass-finished, cutting way back on your dairy, and just eating good quality meats. If you eat meat, eating a lot more greens, taking your orange every day, getting those fruits and veggies in, it will make a huge difference on how you weather the what Adam talked about, the flu outbreak. And I truly believe you can go through this winter unscathed by any of that stuff. And just with a few shifts here and there in your lifestyle and diet. So anyways, it's been great. I'll put the link up, folks. I'll put the link at regenerateme.com, and so you can get that course and really get some eye-opening info on gut health. In the meantime, shalom, Gil. Back to the baby. She is so cute. All right, we'll talk to you later. Adam, thanks so much for bringing up that subject, and to everybody and all, a good night. All right, bye-bye, guys.